In this video, I want to share some tips for push poling a kayak or a paddleboard. Now, this can be a very effective way to cover ground in shallow water, shallow shorelines, shallow flats, and it's a lot more effective than using a paddle because you can actually push yourself off the bottom and really get more speed, more of a push if you need to, and you can also work very slowly. Now, the pole that I'm using, this is made by Yak Attack. This is the Parkin pole. It actually doubles as a stick-it pin or stick anchor, so that can definitely be an advantage. And the one here that I have specifically, this is the extension model. It has an extension you can put in the middle to go from an 8-foot pole to a 12-foot pole. So I like to use a 12-foot because you can actually walk your hands up the pole or down the pole and get a better push and cover more water if you need to pick up speed. So that is one tip there. I like to use this pole, and also it floats, so if you drop it in the water you don't have to worry about it sinking to the bottom. Now, as far as some other items that you would want to have to make this effective, you see up here at the front of the kayak, go ahead and get this net out of the way, but I have a bungee cord and it has a gap underneath it. That way, if I see a fish, I can quickly slide that under the bungee cord. The end section, which has that handle on the back end, so it locks in there. And then I have my paddle holster on my belt here, which you can see there. And that allows me to place that pole in the paddle holster. Then I can quickly grab my rod. So just to give you a quick demonstration here, I'm not sure if we'll see any fish, but just in case we do, just be pushing along. And one thing you want to make sure of is that when you are pushing, you don't bang into the side of the kayak. That's going to spook anything that may be near you. So I kind of keep it out to the side, give it a good push, and it pushes me right along. And keep it out to the side when you bring it back in. Now, you could also, if you have the holster on your belt, you could just lay it in the holster and then have it drag behind you. But one thing I don't like about that is that it will fall out half the time, and also it will start banging up against the side of the kayak. So I prefer to have that bungee up front installed on the kayak with a small gap underneath it, so you can put that handle underneath, place it in your paddle holder, my hands are free, and I can grab my rod and start fishing. Now, something else that's going to help tremendously when you're push poling in a kayak is having a rudder. If you have your rudder, I like to keep the rudder locked into a straight position, because when you go to push and then you glide, that's going to keep you in a straight line. If you have your rudder pulled up, or you don't have a rudder on your kayak or your paddleboard, sometimes you will push and you will start zigzagging, and that can become pretty annoying very quickly. So if you don't have a rudder, I highly suggest getting one. It just makes it that much easier to push and drift and work an area effectively. Now, another tip, if you are push poling and the bottom is very soft, I almost recommend just sticking the push pole in the bottom and then pulling yourself instead of pushing, because if that push pole gets stuck in the bottom and you go to try to yank it out, you might pull yourself out of the kayak or off your paddleboard. So if that's the case, highly recommend using the fatter end. It just has a wider surface area if it is muddy bottom, and it should keep you from getting stuck in the bottom. Now, if it does get stuck in the bottom, what you want to do is just twist it and pull it out. You don't want to try to yank it out, because again, you might get stuck, pull yourself into the water. So you don't want to do that. And lastly, when I'm push poling, what I don't like to do is, push on one side, and then if I have to switch sides, I don't want to bring the pole all the way over the kayak and then switch sides. You may end up smacking something in front of you, hit your rod or something like that. So I basically use the push pole like a paddle. I'll keep the right side of the pole. If I'm holding it straight out in front of me, the right side pushes on the right side, left side pushes on the left side. So I'll just flip the pole over as I'm push poling, like so. So hopefully these tips can help you out if you are deciding to switch it up and start push pulling from your kayak or your paddleboard. Again, very effective way to cover ground and fish an area, as long as you have the proper items to, you know, go from push pulling to casting without making a bunch of noise and fumbling your equipment around. And now, if you haven't done so already, if you're not one of our insider members, definitely be sure to check that club out. We guarantee that you'll start catching more fish in less time. So be sure to check that out, along with 20% discount on our shop page. So if you need any equipment, line, rods, reels, lures, hooks, anything like that, our insider members do get 20% off. And if you're not a member, you still have access to the shop, but you don't get those really good discounts. So definitely be sure to check that out. So that will wrap up this video. If you have any questions or comments, or perhaps some additional tips on push pulling a kayak or paddleboard, definitely let us know in the comments down below. Till next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.